All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
Welcome on in, everybody. NorCal Sports Network. Warriors. Warriors. Back, ladies and gentlemen. Get right into it before we do. Let's thank our sponsor, Chapman Law Group. Chapman Law Group, located in Marin. Licensed in all of California. Give them a call, 415-613-9483. Chapman Law Group for all your legal needs. Maybe it's a personal injury case you got. Maybe you just got hit from behind and or a buddy of yours, family member. Let them know. Chapman Law Group can help them out. No, NorCal Sports Network sent you. All right, guys. Warriors in another rout. Right after the break, they come out and they are running people off the court. Steph Curry gave his earliest night of his career in the third quarter, directing it at PJ Washington, who has been dishing him with the night a couple times when they played in Dallas. So, guys, an amazing performance. I don't know what do you think? Give me your thoughts.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, been a while since I've been on, but since the break, I think it's been really good today. You know, to touch on this game specifically, I thought the team started out the first few minutes kind of rough. Steve Kerr called an early timeout, which I liked, and right after that, you know, they like you said, ran them off the court. I think is the best way to say it. What I noticed from today's game, which I especially liked, was their defense on Kyrie Irving. I don't know if either of you noticed that, but they were, you know, trapping him a lot more, kind of playing the defense that a lot of teams play on Steph to, you know, basically to sum it up in the shortest way to our viewers. And I think that took Kyrie out of the game until the third quarter, which was huge because at that point, you know, we had already been up. I think it was like 18 and they got it to like, I think 13 at one point, but that was the closest it ever really got. And I think, you know, it was huge, the defense they played on Kyrie. And I think that was, and then obviously, you know, the offense was pretty hot today on our end. We scored, you know, over 120, it was 126. And I think, you know, overall it was a good team effort. But for me, it was the defensive end is, you know, why we won this game.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Lou?
I thought the big key is they were very businesslike. They saw a wounded Mavericks team and they took care of business. I thought the other key is they actually remembered what the fast break was all about. In the first half, they had 18 fast break points. Normally, we haven't been like that. And they've been easy 3-on-1 layups, 4-on-2, you know, real simple stuff. And, you know, I don't know if you've noticed, they don't really shoot the three much. They've been going inside. They've been trying to get to the line. Another good day at the line. And, Pods played real well today. I mean, it's sort of surprising he was the leading rebounder for our team, unless it happened late. But, you know, he another solid game by him. And, you know, I think the only thing about the Warriors, I'm just going to be negative on two things. I think we're playing our starters way too much. And what I mean by that is when you're up 32, you don't need to play Butler in the fourth quarter. It's only got injury written all over it. And, you know, the one thing that's going to hold back this team is injuries. No need. Play the bench. You're up 32 points. You're at home. You know Dallas isn't going to come back. So, you know, that's my only regret. I mean, I think right now this is a big part of the schedule. They only play 2 teams in the next 8 games with winning records. So they got to take full advantage of the situation. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. But, you know, I think they're going well. And then the last negative thing, I don't know if you guys watched the podcast. Draymond Green, like an idiot, said they're already going to play in the NBA championship. And, you know, why would you say something like that? Put a dartboard up for every other team in the West. Come on, you're still the 8th seed, bud. When you can say that maybe in the playoffs, but don't already predict it. So that's it. That's all I'll say. But I thought it was a nice win, very businesslike. And, you know, I think, you know, when you see Dallas next time where, you know, they're missing 4 centers and 7 players overall. So you got to take care of the wounded duck. It's the NBA. Nobody cares. All that matters, you get the W.
And there you go with the rebounds. Pods had 13 boards. And Lou, you mentioned the 3-point shot. They only did shoot 40, only 40, which is pretty sound. But in a 40 in a garbage time game is not bad, you know.
Correct.
Yeah, 58 twos.
I mean, they are definitely and Jimmy Butler is putting his mark on this team. I'm telling you guys, he is the how do I want to say it? He's not the leader of the team. Steph is, obviously, okay, but he is going to lead by example, and he already is. In the 6 games, they're 5-1, and they should be 6-0. The one loss they had against Dallas was, you know, they should have won that. But if you saw when Pods hit a 3 after a Jimmy pass, or I'm not sure exactly what happened, but at the break, at the timeout, Pods jumped on Jimmy's back. And what you're seeing here is the leadership of a guy who players are going to want to follow. And Jim, they see what Jimmy's done. He goes to the hoop. He doesn't force it. It looks like he's going to take a shot. He's got a shot. He passes it. Many of the times, he's not trying to dominate. In fact, if you look at Jimmy's numbers, Jimmy is
only took 9 shots today, right?
5 of 9, and he's 18. Very, very efficient. 8 from the free throw line, plus 28. Pods was plus. I mean, this was a 32. What was it? What was the final? 24-point win, 126-102. But it was a 30-point lead at times. Like you said, Lou, 32 points. I agree with you. I don't think you should be playing Jimmy or any of your key players, Draymond and Curry. And how about since the starting lineup? How many times has Moody been in double figures? It's been like
it's 13. It's not just since he's been in the starting lineup. It's the last 16 games ahead of today. It's 14 out of 16 now, and for double-digit scoring for Moody.
All right, guys, Moses Moody, and if you
he's
were
a player,
if you were listening to NorCal Sports Network early on in the year, I was telling you Moses Moody needs to play. In fact, if you remember when the starting lineup was, we did a video on it. Who should be in the starting 5 early on in the season when they lost? What was the player's name? They lost
Melton, DeAnthony Melton.
I did a video. I said I think Moses Moody should be the guy, and I just think Moody needs to play. And Kerr finally gets it. He sees that the kid's more effective when he plays more minutes. Now, what's going to happen? Who's going to lose minutes, guys? I want to ask you this. Who's going to lose minutes this coming week when Jonathan Kuminga returns?
They'll keep the same starting lineup, and they'll bring him off the bench like he did previously.
Right, but who's going to lose the minutes?
Show me that box score one more time.
Let me put that back up here.
I would say, without seeing the box score off the top of my head, I think Buddy Hield's minutes are going to go down a little bit. I think Looney's Santos. That's who I was thinking of. I think Looney's minutes will stay the same. I think most of the bigs are going to be. I think it's going to be guys like the wings. So Santos' minutes are going to get cut way down. I think we're probably going to see a lot less Hield, which is probably good, even though he's been playing a lot better lately. But today he had another, didn't shoot too much, but only 3 points. I think those are the 2 players that come to the top of my mind. What do you guys think?
Lou, what do you think?
Boy, Buddy Hield has dropped off a cliff, huh? I'm just shocked. Well, I mean, he only played 18 minutes, and you got to remember, he only took 4 shots, and they were up 30. To me, you've fallen off a cliff. Where he was the guy that was starting. I think Kerr finally realized he's a very hit and miss guy, and the one thing I do like is he's had the same starting lineup now for 3 games, and it's working. So there's no need to change that. And then it would be nice. You got Kuminga. And no rush for Kuminga right now. Like I said, they only play in the next 8 games. I don't care if they wait a couple weeks, because you're only playing 2 teams with winning records. Break him in a little bit. No need, to get him injured again. You're not going to need him. The other thing, too, is especially with some of these teams that we're playing, maybe give Curry a night off and then maybe give Butler a night off just because, we're going to need him the last couple of weeks of the season. That's all. That's
a good point. That's a good point. I think you're right with Hield and Santos. Let's say that Guy. I mean, I fell asleep. I fell asleep in the last 6-7 minutes of the game, so I don't know how much.
Anything. That was garbage time.
Yeah, did Santos play all those minutes?
Yeah, that was. You got Santos in there. It was Kevin Knox. It was
So 7 minutes of Knox, and so Guy. Let's say Guy normally would play 13 minutes. And Hield would play 17, 18. Really. Okay, so I think Hield may go down to about 15 minutes.
Yep.
And Santos you might only see Guy about 5. He may get some DNPs too.
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to probably see. I don't know if Kuminga's going to get pushed back up to that 30 minutes a game by the end of the season. Because what's happening right now is they're really clicking at the chemistry of the starting 5. And you know what? I say that Butler's the key to all this, but you know who else they're all gelling, but Brandon Podziemski is playing really solid basketball. And it started before Jimmy came back, but it's enhanced. And I got to say, this kid is playing his footwork looks better on defense. Remember how awful he looked the first half? I got to think that mask and that broken nose had a huge effect on him because he looks like 2 different people. He was unplayable for a long time. In fact, we were saying, and not just we, most Warrior followers were not only saying that, or send him to the G League.
Yeah.
I mean, he was referred to by someone on this show, Mr. Salty. We can't even say the name anymore. It's been banned, but it started with a B and ended with an O, and there was a Z in there. So you guys can figure it out. We can't say the name. It's been banned because he's no longer that Farhan guy. So, Aussie, what's up? Carlo P from Utah. Haven't seen Carlo. Carlo
for the Pods turnaround. I like that one, Carlo.
Carlo, are you gonna come? Are you coming down for spring training again this year? Let me know. See if we can.
I think my thing on. Oh, sorry. My thing on Pods, real quick, is I totally agree. I was talking to you before the game. I said, I think if Pods continues to play like this, I think it's time that we all, admit that it was just a little bit of a rough stretch there at the beginning of the season. He's right back on track for where he ended his rookie year. He was all rookie. He was he was 3rd in rookie of the year voting. And, I think Pods is a good player. I think he just had, like you said, I really do think it was the mask, maybe some other injury things. Cause I know he missed some time with a different injury, Dan, right, for like 2 weeks. So maybe he just was a little banged up. And I also think something to keep in mind with Pods is, this may happen again, and I don't just because he plays so hard and he gets so injured, I don't think this will be the only time he wears a mask, and he may need to, be a little more careful with his body because he seems to need to play 100% when he's out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What do you guys think of this comment from the 2024 man? Not starting Jonathan Kuminga is stupid. Play the best players. The best lineup is Curry, Moody, Butler, Kuminga, and Green. What's your thoughts on that, Lou?
Well, first of all, he wasn't starting before he got injured. He was coming off the bench, and he was very effective. And that's really right now what you're going to need, especially when you move on and you play better teams that, you're going to guard you a little bit better. No need to. I mean, the only time Kuminga did is when both Green and Curry sat for the game and you needed scoring. But yeah, first of all, you guys got to remember, we don't know, if he's in game shape. We just don't know how long it's going to be before he's, 80, 90%. And, do what worked earlier. Why change what worked? When he came off, he was solid, good for usually 12 to 20 points. He was really a bolt of lightning off the bench. And, why would you want to start him when you're starting 5 right now? The last 3 games, they've been so effective. Don't hurt or don't screw up what's been working. And I think coming off the bench now, again, 2024 man, you know what this sounds like, Dan? He's got him on fantasy. He's a fantasy player, NBA. He just picked him up and he's saying, what the hell? That's what it sounds like to me. That's a fantasy quote. But again, I don't know who 2024 man is. But, like I said, I think he's better. I mean, what do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I think 2024 makes a good point about that those are the best players, but I don't think you necessarily should start them all. So I disagree with him there. But I do agree with his point that those are the best 5 players on the team probably right now. But I think the reason I would have Paz starting over a Kuminga is you do have a lot better ball handling from a Podziemski versus a Jonathan Kuminga. We've seen Kuminga and, gets a little loose with the ball. He's not a bad ball handler, but he doesn't have a tight handle. And I think another thing to keep in mind with Kuminga coming off the bench is that gives you some bench scoring. And right now I think we're actually lacking that a little bit. As you've seen Buddy Hield's an up and down bench scorer. We're still getting a lot of points, but it's coming from different players every day. And it would be nice to just have that 6-man microwave scorer is going to give you 17 a night efficiently and, get fouls. He'll basically be what Jimmy is for us, but off the bench. And you'll have a lot of times with him and Jimmy or him and Steph on the floor when one of those two are out. So I actually kind of would keep Kuminga unless Moody has a fall off. I would keep Podziemski in the starting lineup or Moody unless one of them has a fall off. And then, yeah, maybe at that point you decide to switch one of them with the Kuminga. But I think right now, like Lou was saying, there's great chemistry. And also Kuminga was having a really good, first half of the year before he was injured in that 6-man role.
I'll tell you another thing that's very encouraging to me. And it's the first time we've seen this probably since KD has left. We're seeing the non-Steph minutes, the Warriors are actually outscoring the other teams. And you've got to give credit to Steve Kerr. I know there's a lot of people that get down on Steve Kerr, but he has figured out that he will not have Steph and Jimmy off the court at the same time sitting. So if Steph's out, Jimmy's in there. If Jimmy's out, Steph's in there. And it's running really smooth. You could see that Jimmy takes over the offense. The offense is just different when Steph's out there. And I love the fact that this team is not relying on the 3-point shot. It was very, I don't know what the word I want to use, Lou, but it was frustrating. It was disturbing.
Hard to watch.
Yeah, hard to watch.
And it wasn't that there were threes. Everyone was shooting threes. It didn't matter who was on the court. Everybody shot threes. And, it got to a point where clank, and then we weren't getting back on D. I would say one more thing about Pods is he still has one little negative problem. Every time he goes up, he thinks he gets fouled. Forget about it. You're playing well. Stop looking at every single ref. Like today, the girl ref was horrible. Again, another horrible. She got to a point where what's his name for Dallas kept talking to her every time. And you could read his words like, do you even know the rules? And I don't mean to be negative, but it's got to the point now where NBA's got to do something about this. First of all, when you have a star player not arguing once, not twice, but 3 times, there's a problem, and it's going to become a point where, but regardless of that, Potts, you're having a great game. My God, you have 17 rebounds. You scored 13 points. You're going up, and all of a sudden you're going to the ref like, hey, what's going on? Forget about it. and plus your team's up 30. Only argue when, if it was like Arizona hoops last night where it affected the game. It's not going to affect the game.
Oh boy.
You're not someone like Steph Curry that deserves all the calls. You've only been in the league a couple of years. Just relax. You're winning. That's it.
Yeah. And I think George makes a good point about what Dan was saying with the twos, to get back on that real quick. I think George says Steph takes twos now. I think have you noticed that, Dan? At the beginning of the year, I could even pull it up. Steph was taking a lot more, not at the beginning of the year, before the Jimmy trade. Steph was taking a lot more threes. He was taking 10 plus a game. And since then, he's been a lot more, proactive, I would say, about going to the hoop, whether that's the floater, his classic layup, whatever it is.
Yeah,
And
he's doing a lot of that.
Yeah, and I think with that and with Jimmy, you've talked about on a couple of shows, and I haven't been on, how you said Jimmy's changed the team's mindset, you feel like, in terms of going to the hoop and trying to get calls or whatever it is and not just tucking up a bunch of threes. I think that's totally happening with Steph. I think they probably even maybe had a conversation like, hey, we should try to go, against these teams with no size, we should just go inside. Because you literally saw Steph. They had no size, and against these teams with no size we've been playing, Steph's just going inside now, and he's doing, because he always had a really, good percentage at the rim. So, and he's doing it again. And I think Jimmy's totally, and I'm curious what you think, and I know you talked about a little bit before with maybe Jimmy kind of changing even the star, Draymond and Steph's mindset on that.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing about what they're doing, as you mentioned, going to the hoop with no size. I would not want to see the Warriors face Dallas if Dallas is at full strength. I don't like that matchup. If they're facing Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, and Lively are all down there, and then you got Kyrie and Dinwiddie and Clay,
it changes everything.
It changes everything. And I think the Warriors then all of a sudden become this outside shooting team.
Exactly.
And you can win when you're hot, but you're going to lose when you're not, we win by the three, die by the three, as the saying goes. So I don't want to see Dallas in the playoffs. I've got money on this Warriors team at 10-1, or, well, I guess it was 10,000 to 1, $10 wins me $1,000. All right.
Yep.
I also got some money on Dallas when the trade was made, because I liked the move that Dallas made for the playoffs for right now. Forget the Luka long-term deal. I think Dallas, when healthy, is a better team right now with the way they're constructed. But who knows if we'll see that? We don't know. I mean,
well, Lively's probably out for the year. They just said it down on ESPN. They just got news of.
Oh, geez. What's wrong with him? Was it a foot or something?
Yeah, I guess it's a lot more serious than expected. They were talking about on the half game show anyways, and they said pretty much the same thing you said, that they think Dallas is a better team than the Warriors, but it doesn't really matter because half their team's injured. And I think what they were saying, Perk said, and a lot of people who weren't high on the Warriors before this trade, is the Warriors are actually kind of getting a break with all these injuries. And I think that's something that, maybe we should touch on a little bit. Wemby out for the season, so you don't have to worry about the Spurs creeping up anymore. Sacramento is not dealing with injuries, but a lot of trades. And a lot of these other teams, you got Luka and they were just kind of talking about the Warriors seem to have this chemistry. And I know a lot of people were talking about that in the chat. And I think that's actually a big key and what's going to be important down the stretch is a lot of these teams are dealing with injuries and chemistry issues right now. And the Warriors are healthy. So I think what Lou said too is important about spreading out these minutes for, our older veterans. And once we get Kuminga back, I would like to see, what Lou talked about with, sitting Jimmy and Steph on some of those games against a bad team, maybe like the Hornets or something like that.
What's your take on the playoff situation, Lou? Where do you think the Warriors end up? They're basically tied for 8th in the loss column.
Yeah, I could see them I don't know about 6th. That's asking a lot just because, we still have to play the Clippers a couple times. I could see them, 7th or 8th. I'd love for them, to make it 6 so they're in. But, if worse comes to worse, 7 would be a good call. I think it all just depends. Ryan brings up a good point right now. We're taking advantage of the schedule, and we have to. Good teams do. But, we need to stay healthy and, no bad losses. I think, especially against some of these teams, these teams, look at the Lakers the other night. They lost to Charlotte. 16
Yeah,
point
we can't do
favorite.
that
Should never
tomorrow.
ever happen. So when you play these teams, these losses are almost like double losses, especially late. So you got to just take care of business, and if they take care of business where they lie, I think 6 or 7.
Yeah, I mean, is 6? If you ended up 6 right now, is that a bad thing? If the
Yeah, it's a very bad spot. Very bad
I mean,
spot.
you face the Nuggets.
You lose in the first round, probably.
I mean, you're better off now. Where does Denver finish? If Denver finishes second, you don't want to be 7th. If Denver
I think Denver finishes second, so
you better get to 6 because I think the Warriors can beat Memphis. I would hate to see them face the Lakers in the first round.
agreed.
At 3. I mean, I think Houston's going to fall back possibly to 6 or 7, maybe. I don't know. They got a big lead on the cushion of 5 games, but they're young and they do dumb things.
They choked last year at the end of the season too, if you recall. Remember, they were saying
Right.
Warriors come out and play, and they were roasting, and then they choked really hard at the end of the year, missed the play-in.
Right. I'm not worried about the Kings or the Suns, and I'm
No,
really
I
not
think the
worried
Suns might
about
miss the play-in.
And I'm not really worried about the Mavericks because
At
of their
this
injury
point.
situation. Yeah. So I think
T-Wolves,
comfortably.
I'm not worried about the T-Wolves either. What about? I think we.
I think that
be fine
I
with
think
them.
the Warriors comfortably get to 8. I don't think they finish lower than 8. I think they're 6, 7, or 8. And if I had to bet right now, I would say they would probably finish 7th, with an outside shot at 6, because it's really the loss column you have to look at. Forget the wins;
Right.
they're pretty much right there with the Clippers with wins.
Correct.
It's the loss column now. And can the Clippers? Clippers have been fairly healthy, minus Kawhi, who's always in and out of the lineup. But Kawhi is really the third option with, I'll call him San Diego still. LA. He's the third option. Powell has become the second option for the Clips now. I mean, obviously Harden won, and then Norman Powell. And then, I mean, that's not a bad team. Look out for the Clippers still. They are, to me, the sleepy team in this conference. They're the team that nobody's talking about. They're just kind of hanging there, and they're nothing.
3-0 against us,
right? I tell you, the Clippers could be a very tough team to beat in the playoffs if you have a healthy Kawhi Leonard and he plays 30-plus minutes a game in the playoffs. Now, I want to talk about this. I want to go back to the lineups, and I want to look at let me pull up the box score here again, because what's going to happen in the playoffs is we're going to have a rotation of 8, maybe 9. Sometimes we'll go 9, because Jimmy Butler is going to play 40-plus minutes a game. Okay, that's just what he does. And he's playing right now generally 30 to 35. So his minutes are going up. Steph's are going to go up to 37, 38, maybe 40, depending on the game, okay? But Steph's going to play his minutes. So who's going to get, if you kept the starting 5 and you add in Kuminga, 6, Healed 7, 8
and Looney.
Looney.
I think 8.
Looney's definitely getting minutes.
Everybody.
Yeah, and Looney. I mean, are we gonna?
Did you even say Peyton? Peyton's definitely playing.
Peyton is 9. So
yeah, you have to. Gary's playing for sure.
So is Post gonna be?
Post is gonna get minutes in certain matchups. He wouldn't. Like if you were playing a bigger, if you're playing a bigger team, he's gonna play. Like if you're playing, because you're gonna want his spacing, get that size. That because what's good about Post against a bigger team is, let's say you play a Jokic who's not very fast, kind of like Post. You get Post to get. I mean, not Post. You get Jokic not playing the center. You get to get inside because he's gonna have to hang out with Post on the 3-point line. So I think in a matchup like that, you'd see post. But if you play a team like tonight, I think we didn't see much post until the Mavs were getting blown out. And the reason why was because they were playing so small.
True. Yeah. I mean, I have a feeling, I just have a feeling Moody's minutes are going to
Shrink.
I do.
I think they will if he comes to earth a little bit. Right now, he's playing so good; it's kind of hard not to play him, right, Dan?
Right. I just hope that if he doesn't, he doesn't have a game or two where he's not in sync,
Stinkers.
and then Kerr just, Kuminga comes back, has some big games, and then all of a sudden, Moody's coming off the bench rarely. We'll see how this goes, but Santos is going to lose out on his minutes. The thing about Santos is he really hustles and he keeps balls alive. He dives for loose balls. He keeps balls. He tips them. He keeps things going. He's what is he, about 6'8", 6'9" kid?
6'8", I believe.
I mean, he hasn't really got his. I mean, he's a good 3-point shooter, and he really hasn't got a chance to really showcase it much. That's kind of why he made the team originally, because he was a really good sharpshooter. So I think Santos is, it's really good to see, and I want to get Lou's take on this. When the Warriors were great in their run, you remember the bench, it was strength in numbers, and
Correct.
And the bench was pumped up always. And we didn't see that for a few years where the bench was pumped up. I'm seeing that again, where guys are getting excited on the bench, and there's not this. There was a chemistry problem for a few years on this team, and a lot of it had to do with Kuminga sulking and the young guys, and there was just a lot of there was some tension a few years ago between the veterans and the young guys, and that I think there was like two teams. It was a split.
Yeah, they talked about that.
It's pretty remarkable that they won the championship in 22. It really is. If you look back on it, you're going to look back on history someday, 20 years from now, and you're going to go, how in the world did that team win a championship? They were 44-38, I think, for the regular season that year. That was a phenomenal run. That they just clicked in the playoffs, and they got a lot of breaks.
Matchups wise, yeah.
It takes a lot of breaks to win a championship. Like the Warriors' first championship, you guys remember that, don't you?
Of course.
How many injuries that every team the Warriors
no
faced in the
Kyrie, no
playoffs?
Kevin Love too in the finals.
Yeah, even in the Western Conference, everybody was out. They faced, there was a key player out. Now, it didn't matter in 16 and 17. Or 17 and I should say 17 and 18. Nobody was I don't care who they put out there. They could have put.
They were like minus 2,000 coming in. This. Yeah. It was the craziest. For the championship odds, the Warriors in the modern era were it was like pointless to bet on them.
Darren corrected me. Okay, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Darren.
44-38 was the Sac season you were thinking of, Dan, when we beat Sac in
that's right.
in the first round and then lost to the Lakers.
That's right. Yeah, 52-30. That's right. So, who's up next? Charlotte?
Yeah, Charlotte's up next. You're gonna pull up the schedule. You look at the next couple games.
We've got Charlotte at home, right?
Yeah.
Let me pull up the.
Hey guys, I do want to say one thing. We're already counting out Phoenix. You got to remember one thing. Bradley Beal was out 2 weeks. Now he's back. So now they do have their big three. So don't count them out just yet. When you have, Beal who could score, KD, and then of course you got Booker. So it's not like they're a layup. I just wanted to bring that up. But go ahead, Dan, to pull up the schedule.
Good point, Lou. All right, I'm pulling up the schedule here in 4 seconds.
And then, I think for me, for the seeding, I think 7-6 seeds definitely kind of where I have us going to.
Okay. So got Charlotte Tuesday night. Now I just got word they got the Sixers next Saturday. Just got word here on Twitter about 10 minutes ago that the 70 from Shams 76ers and Joel Embiid are consulting doctors and considering alternative options on his injured knee. Sources tell ESPN sides have hoped for progress in Embiid's body, but his efforts to play and current treatments, including injections, have not provided any improvement. I want to ask you guys a question about this because there's in the news here, Wimbiana, his body, now it doesn't have anything to do with basketball, with a blood clot, basically. But I was listening to Alchemy recently talk about him and saying that his concern is how long would a big guy that tall last in the league? Because it's proven that guys over 7'2", there's just a period of guys that don't last as long. And Embiid has had he's not 7'2", but this guy's been glass most of his career. He's just constantly hurt with lower leg injuries. And what is your take on these big guys? Do you think that is a risk reward worth taking? Like Wembyana, I mean, he's not going to play the rest of this year, but is his body type, is he a guy, I mean, that might only last 5 to 6 years in the league? I mean, Yao Ming, how long did he last?
About 8, I think. If I recall for Ming, I wasn't alive for Ming's heydays, but I remember looking at his stat sheet. I think, I think not just that, Dan. I think it's, the 7'2" thing is definitely where it's really bad. But also, think about James Wiseman. He's out of the league because of injuries. That's another 7-footer. A lot of these 7-footers, I think, like you said with Embiid, he's not 7'2", but he's 7 foot. Yeah, I think you make a great point. I think, I don't recall actually too many. In my lifetime, there actually hasn't been that many good 7-footers. That's actually more of your lifetime in the, Kareem, Shaq. I actually cannot recall.
David Robinson's the only one I know that never got injured.
And Bill Walton was another.
Bill Walton
was
he won his
never
championship. Then another 4 years he was out because they're so fragile. They're so tall. I mean, Bill Walton broke the same leg 3 years in a row. It's almost impossible.
Right. The difference with Shaq is he was just he was a diesel. Yeah. Right. I mean, so he was just different center of gravity. These guys, like, I don't know how long Chet Holmgren.
He gets hurt all the time too. And
how long's Chet Holmgren going to last in this league?
8-9 years, probably something like.
But I mean, how many effective years? This is year 2, and he's still not
had one effective. No, this is year 3, Dan, because remember his first year, he missed the whole year.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, I mean, this is kind of concerning with the big men, and KD's different. He made it.
That's who it is. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Who the good 7-footer of my generation was? It was KD.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's not even, is he really even 7 foot? He says he's not. I mean, people say he is, but he says he's not.
Right. But also he moves around like a rubber band. These other guys, they just sit, they wait, they're physical. It's a different type of player. I don't know.
True.
This kid, you got to remember, the young kid's not even 20 yet. So I know he has a blood clot. San Antonio, I mean, they had a great draft pick. They got a great draft. They got a stud. And then they lose their coach to cancer. Now you got this kid. I mean, this franchise, it's almost like they were so good for so long, they sold their soul to the devil, and now they come back and they can't get a break. But that's the Spurs.
Yeah, actually, you're talking about Popovich with Kent. It's more of he had a mini stroke.
Stroke too, yeah.
So I don't know if he's coming back next year,
He could be retired. No need to come back.
Yeah. So let's go back to this schedule. The Warriors have Charlotte Tuesday night. They should win that. They go on the road to Orlando and then Philly. They should win both of those.
Orlando's going to be a lot tougher.
Remember? Yeah, Orlando.
They played here and it was a close game. So
yeah. And then they got Charlotte again. That's your trap game. Possibly.
You got to go 4-2 in these next 6 is the way I see it.
I think they got to go 5-1.
Yeah, I think you can drop the Orlando game. I think Lou's right. Orlando's plays tough. They're not a bad team. They're 500 right now. I think you could lose that one, but you got to and then lose the Knicks. But you got.
I got Knicks. Okay, that's part of the 5-1. Yeah, you got to go at least 4-2. But ideally, I mean, if they beat Orlando Thursday night, if they win Charlotte and beat Orlando, and then beat Philly, and then go on to beat Charlotte, there's a possibility they can beat New York because of the momentum that they're gaining.
Well, if they do all that, there's also a possibility they're the 6th seed at that point. I don't know if I was texting you about it. The Clippers and the Timberwolves have a really rough stretch the next 4 games. The T-Wolves go OKC on a back-to-back night, and the Clippers are losing. I'll see if they're losing right now. They were losing when I saw it, and then they play I forget who else, but another good team. So there's a world here. The Warriors win all these games, and they get some losses from these teams who should lose.
Clippers are going to lose today. They're down 90-70 with
so that's
4 minutes to go in the third quarter. So that's good. Suns are losing early, so in the second quarter, start of the second quarter. So they're down by 6. That's you can't count that one. What else do we got? Oh, you said Dan, tonight, Thunder T-Wolves tonight. Okay.
Root for the Thunder.
Yeah, and
yes,
I think that another team goes to Cleveland, and we know how good Cleveland is. I just wanted to bring up 3 games in 4 days. Just remember that on the road. That's not easy.
Oh, you're talking about.
I'd like to see them.
Both. So we play the 1st, 3rd, and 4th, and then we come back 3rd, 4th, and 6th. So 4 games in 5 days. I'm just saying, that's tough, especially on the road. So that's where, I think the Warriors should maybe, if you're going to the Knicks, you know how good the Knicks are, East, physical, maybe set, one of the big 2 on one of the days. You just got to play it smart. No injuries, obviously.
I agree. Kuminga's probably going to come back somewhere, maybe against Philly. Possibly as early as Orlando, but I think somewhere next week sounds about right. Give him another week. He's starting to practice. But can you guys see my little mouse here moving?
Yeah, I can.
See that circle right there? That's your trap game right there.
Detroit.
Detroit's coming better than us. They're good.
Coming off of a road trip, the first home game is always tough. So good bet sometimes, especially. I always do this in baseball when a team has been on a long road trip and they got no day off and they come home and they have their next game is at home. I generally pick the visiting team because that team is tired, depending on where they're coming from. If they're coming from back east, it's a tough. There's always a dead. So I look for the Warriors. Now there's a way around that right here. Is if you can blitz Brooklyn right here and take care of business where you're not having to play Steph and Jimmy, Draymond, but 24, 25 minutes, and they get some rest, and that could be huge. The other thing is if you could play some of the younger guys a lot that first game and get them minutes and give, it's the way the whole body works with travel. So want to see how they do there. Hey, Bo, can you knock that off, please? This dog.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think another thing to keep in mind too, that Lou brought up and you brought up with that, those stretch of games right there. I'd like to see, I'd like to see Steph sit more actually than Jimmy. I know Lou was talking about Jimmy needs rest too. One thing I will say with that is he hasn't played that much of the season. So now that you have a second star, I'd call him a 1B, not a 1A type star. I actually wouldn't mind seeing them just play Jimmy because he has talked about in his post-game pressers and stuff, he wants to play to get in shape. And I think that's why, Lou, I forgot to bring it up earlier. I think that's why he was playing in the fourth quarter and you didn't see Steph is because I think he probably asked to come in, honestly. And not saying he should have been playing. He probably shouldn't have, but he wants to get in shape. So I don't know. I'm curious to hear your take on that, Dan. Would you be, opposed to, Steph maybe sitting some of these games, but throwing out Jimmy and Draymond, who haven't played as many games this season? They both had, a lot of games they've missed. Maybe not Draymond as much because he's a little more injury prone, but Jimmy's not, he hasn't played that many games this year. I think he's played like 30 games.
Now, the problem with the Charlotte and New York back-to-back, it kind of sucks because that's Steph's hometown. So he plays in Charlotte, and then,
Always.
New York the next night, it's always, it's a mega town, it's Steph town. I mean, if Steph wasn't a Warrior, he would be a great Knick, right? It was just,
yeah, you said that before.
Steph is made for New York, right? I mean, he broke the all-time three-point record there. I was going to say, look at that schedule. I think Steph sits that game out in New York if possible, or they sit him in Philly to give him a little bit more of a rest. I wouldn't shock me to see Steph sit Saturday night, March 1st, and I'm putting that schedule up like you guys can see it. I'm sorry. Let me pull this back up. I would not be shocked to see Steph sit right here, because then he goes from Thursday and he can play Monday, Tuesday. Gives him Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. And you do that because I don't think they're going to rest him in Charlotte. That's his hometown. His dad's,
the
announcer there. And it's a TNT game in New York. I mean,
Steph's not missing the Garden game. He's right. It's a TNT game, and it's in the Garden. I think Mark's right with this.
So I would sit Steph right here Saturday
I agree.
night.
Yep.
I would just give him a night off. Let Jimmy take it to task. Jimmy
against his old team.
Yeah, Jimmy can. I mean, it's like Jimmy, playoff Jimmy. Let him run the game, and he can and pick your rest there. And then I'm sitting.
That gives Steph a lot of time off too, from the 27th.
And then I'm sitting
to the 30th.
Steph again in Brooklyn.
Yep.
I'm giving
Steph another 4 days off.
Yes, and if you manage this, listen, Steve Kerr, listen to me. I'm telling you, this is the stretch drive. Give Steph. What's that ringing sound? What is that? Somebody's phone ringing?
No.
I'm here. Anybody hearing that?
Yeah, I heard it. It wasn't me though.
Okay.
I didn't hear anything.
Okay.
Nothing.
Give Steph Saturday against Philly off and give him Brooklyn off, and you will have a refreshed Steph Curry, and he will have 4 days off, and they can win both of those games without Steph. Most definitely. And he will still be able to play back-to-back, and, he'll be refreshed. He'll be juiced to play at home in Charlotte, and then he gets up for playing at the Garden. So that's my take. If the Warriors are listening, I want to see Steph Curry get March 1st off and March 6th off. That gives him 2 4-day breaks, and then you got him for the stretch drive, and then maybe
sit him against Toronto too. I would, because you have a back Denver, Milwaukee. That'll be my last sit for Steph.
And then give him against Toronto, exactly. And you got to figure a way to,
and New Orleans.
Yep. And you got to play this the long game here. And like you said, Brian, Jimmy's playing himself into shape because he missed a lot of the game. And Jimmy's used to playing closer. We look at Steph and we say, oh my gosh, he's 35, 36 minutes. That's a lot. Jimmy Butler plays close to 40 minutes a game. Yeah. So Jimmy, he thinks
this is a great. He was playing for the Heat. It's they run those guys through the ground, like not like Tom Thibodeau does with the Knicks, but similar in that way.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's a good game. Warriors are starting to do what they need to do. We came out of this, talked about that they should win. I said that they would win 6 in a row when I looked at the schedule, and I said they're going to win against Sacramento and Dallas. That's 2. Charlotte, Orlando, 4. Philly, 5. Charlotte, 6. And I think the toughest one on the schedule is New York. I mean, Orlando's going to be a tough game. They're not going to be easy. So, but I think the Warriors can go 6-0. And
what do you think? What's your end of the season prediction too? I was talking about with Lou.
I got them going 46-36.
46-36. Yeah, I got us winning 45 games. That was for me. So we're about the same, 45-46. What about you, Lou?
I see 43.
Lou, come on.
Yeah, I see 42, 43.
No, Lou. We got to bet everybody. Okay, now we're going to get Lou his hot take on here right now. Lou is I think he's being biased. We have a bet. The over-under was 43.5. He took the under. So all Ryan and I have to do and Frank to win the bet is the Warriors win 44. And Lou wins if they win 43 or less. So with that in mind, Lou, so that remember, there's thousands of people listening to this right now. How many wins do you have the Warriors at ending the season? Lou, your credibility.
I got them winning maybe 13 more. Look, just go to the schedule. Right now they have 30.
We have the easiest schedule. So the other thing I'll say with that, and I should have mentioned this, we have the easiest schedule in the league per ESPN down the stretch.
All right, here we go. We're gonna finish the show with this, guys. We're gonna take a look at the schedule, and we're gonna let Lou walk game by game, and he will tell the 13 wins, and we'll see if Lou still has a job at the end of the year on North Network.
He'll be on for baseball for always. His baseball credibility is strong.
Okay.
And
all right,
football.
here we go, Lou. You got right here Charlotte and Orlando. Give me the wins. Charlotte. We're going to count.
Charlotte to win.
Orlando.
Loss.
Okay. Philadelphia.
Win.
2. Charlotte.
Win.
3. New York.
Loss.
Brooklyn.
Win.
4. Detroit.
Loss.
Portland.
Win.
5. Sacramento at home.
Loss.
Ooh.
By that time, I think they can maybe understand they got to play team ball.
5. Okay, New York at home.
Loss.
Oh, boy. Denver.
Loss.
Milwaukee.
Loss.
Okay, so Toronto.
Win.
6. At Atlanta.
Loss.
At Miami.
Win.
7. At New Orleans.
Win.
8. San Antonio.
Win.
9. At Memphis.
Loss.
At LA.
Loss.
Denver.
Loss.
I know Lou now. Houston at home. Win.
Loss. Houston's due to beat them.
All right, where are we at, Ryan? Are we on 9 wins right now?
9
Yeah,
wins.
9
9
wins.
wins.
Okay, at Phoenix. I think you got him under 13, Lou.
I say they'll beat Phoenix.
10. San Antonio.
Win.
11. Portland.
Win.
And LA Clippers.
Loss.
That's
Clippers
12.
just got their
12
number.
wins.
Yeah, I had 13, so one of those, I guess I said lost. We won.
Yeah, it's probably the one where we lose 5 in a row. We're not going to lose 5 in a row. It was like
Right.
Knicks, one of those ones.
Okay, so
You know, some of these, there's some trap games, and you got to remember the back-to-backs. They're just not as easy.
All right, let me do the same exercise.
And again, it's going to come down probably the last game where the Warriors are in, and they're going to say we're not going to play anybody because we're getting ready, and then watch the Clippers where they need the game and they'll play everybody, and the Warriors won't.
I think that's
All right.
a possibility, but I don't think it's going to be.
All right, here's
43
my deal. All right, you ready for mine? Charlotte. Count these wins, Ryan. I haven't even
1.
added them up. 46. Okay.
I got it.
Orlando. Win. Let me give you guys my reasoning. They win Tuesday night. They're on a roll. They have a very nice flight to Charlotte. A lot of team bonding. Team is feeling the job. They're feeling it, and they want to make a statement. This is their run. They're veterans. You've got championship blood on this team throughout. You got Curry, Green, and I know Jimmy hasn't won a championship, but he's almost done it. So he's got it in his blood, and so does Looney. This is a championship makeup team. Okay,
Kuminga
so
has a
2-0.
championship too.
What's that?
All of our young guys have chips except Pods
True.
and TJD.
Right.
You gotta remember that.
Yep. Philadelphia 3. That's a win. Wait. Charlotte 2, 3. Yeah.
Yep, I'm at
Charlotte
3.
again 4. The Knicks. I still think they can beat the Knicks at the Garden, but I'm going to give them a loss. 4-1. Okay, 4. Brooklyn win 5. Detroit, if they rest Steph, like I said, against Brooklyn, they'll win. They may lose, but I'm going to give it to them because I think Steve Kerr's watching NorCal Sports Network right now, and I think he's saying, you know what? That Dan Cucimilio knows what he's talking about. I think I need to give Steph some rest here, and I like his thinking. So they got to win against Detroit. How many's that? I'm not counting. You got it,
You're
Ryan?
at 6.
Okay. Portland, 7. Sacramento, 8. Knicks, 9.
Loss.
Denver at home. They're
Denver
going to win
just has
one
a
of.
number.
I think they beat Denver. I think they lose to Milwaukee.
Fair. So 10.
Yeah, 10. Toronto, 11. Atlanta. 12. Miami, they lose. New Orleans, 13. San Antonio win, 14. I think they lose in Memphis. They're due. I think they lose
Agreed.
to LA.
Agreed.
I think they lose to Denver this time. They beat them the first time. I'm not counting. I lost my count. They beat Houston.
14 so far. 15.
They lose to Phoenix. Phoenix is going to be in a must-win at that point.
Win. Yeah, I agree with you there. And it's in Phoenix.
They beat San Antonio.
16.
They beat Portland.
17. They lose to LA because I think they will be resting then. I think Lou's right about that.
And 17 wins. What is that? What is their record right now?
So I would have us at
47.
47. 47.
47.
Didn't you say 46?
Yeah, I think they're very comfortable at 46.
Yeah.
I feel very comfortable at 46.
I said 45. I actually feel like that's too low now after looking at the schedule.
What do you got? You pretty close?
I got 46 now too. I'm going to stick with you. I had it 45 before, but after actually looking through all the games, I'm with you. 46. Yeah. I think we'll probably lose to Denver both times, so I'll have it at 46, not 47. Yeah. But yeah, 45, 46 wins for sure.
I think they win that first game against, and I don't think they beat Milwaukee a second time. If Giannis is playing, I just think, and it's a back-to-back.
Yeah.
I think I see them getting up. You look at the schedule and you play certain guys based on it, and you play with certain intensity. And I think they're going to look at that and they say, okay, I think Kerr's going to go, okay, we got back-to-back. We're going to go for the Denver win, and we're going to just we're not going to
sit guys.
We're going to sit guys, and we're going to give away the Milwaukee game. I think that's how they play it. That's generally how they do it. They push for one game, and what sucks is if you lose that one game, and you're kind of, you have to rely on the Pat Spencers and the TJDs to come out and, just play their hearts out and somehow pull something out of their hat, But yeah, I can see them. I can see this Warrior team.
Bossy has 20.
Yeah, there's 26 games left, right? There's
how many games
there's
left?
A possible 26?
25.
25.
Yeah. They could win. They could win 18 and they could go 18-7. I don't think they will. I kind of think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to be right in there at 46, 47 wins. Lou, I hope you're wrong, because if you're
make
right,
the show better if I'm wrong.
Yes,
true. we can keep it going because we'll at that point most likely at least have a 7 or 6 seed and be in the play-in spot or playoff spot.
Yeah. Deloading says, Dan, great minds think alike. Me and Dan at the same spot. I'll check my previous. Okay, I'll have to check your message. I was looking at the schedule. Deloading. Would be surprised if they only won 15. I think they win 17 or 18 out of the games left. Yeah, I look at those games. When I looked at them, I think the one I struggled with on the road was Atlanta. When I looked at it, that's one of those go either way games. And Miami. Now, if they lose to Atlanta, I think they beat Miami. Okay.
Agreed.
But
I think they could also beat Miami though, too.
Yes, they could.
You
they
could
could
see
win.
a Jimmy Butler 40 piece. He just might be heated.
And the nice thing about that is they play Atlanta on Saturday. They don't play Miami until Tuesday. And Atlanta and Miami that's a short flight. That's a short flight.
Yeah.
The problem is the Warriors are probably going to be sitting in Miami for a couple of days, which isn't the best place to be if you're a visiting team. There's a lot to do in Miami.
Distractions. A lot of distractions.
Yeah, not a great place to go in when you've got 2 days off, and you got young guys out. There's a lot of places to go.
Yeah.
So,
and
but anyway,
one thing I'll say too. Last thing I'll say too, I think this team has a lot of experience too, ending the season really strong. If you look back at the year against Sacramento, the year you were talking about our championship run, and even last year, we ended 8-2 last year and made got fought into that last play-in spot. Obviously, wasn't a good position, but either way, I think what gives me a lot of hope too is this team has a very strong consistency of ending the year strong, even if not every year they've had a good year. They've always ended the year really strong. It hasn't always got us in the best position, but even that year when it was just Steph and Wiggins and they lost in the play-in against LeBron, that was another year. They had I think they went 9-1 at the end. So they're very consistent with ending hot, which I think gives us a lot of hope as a fan.
As I look at this trade, nothing against Andrew Wiggins. I love the guy. I really do. I
hope he retires a Warrior.
He's one of my favorite players just based on what he went through personally, and he's a dog. But the problem I will say with Andrew Wiggins is he's inconsistent. Okay. He's inconsistent. And that was his flaw, is he had too many down moments. His up moments were great, but his down moments stuck out like a sore thumb, man. They were bad. And you can't have that and be your number 2 or 3 guy. And this trade is, in my opinion, one of the more lopsided trades because the Warriors didn't give up anything but Wiggins. And as you could see, the draft pick is not going to be a number 1. It's going to convey it'll be a 1, but it's going to be like pick 20,
Yeah.
So, but I like Deloading's point here. I want to end on this because.
Hey, Dan, just one thing.
Yeah, sure.
Say the Warriors somehow don't make it to the dance this year, right? You got to remember, you're still going to have him at $60 million for 2 more years after this. And I'm not
55.
worried about next year, 55. I'm not worried about next year, but the year where, hey, maybe Steph, you're gonna have him a year where he's gonna be disgruntled. That's all I'm saying.
I actually disagree with that real quick. I think Jimmy Butler is pretty easy to move. I think KD spoke with Malika Andrews. He actually said he would be willing to come back to the Warriors. Basically, he just didn't want to move mid-season. He didn't say he would be willing to come back to the Warriors. He'd be willing. Wasn't opposed to coming back to the Warriors because of Draymond or anything because of that. He said he just didn't want to move from Phoenix. He likes it there. And he said, I guess a lot of people love Arizona. So I think, you could trade Jimmy for KD if he got disgruntled. I think I wouldn't want to do this, but a Bradley Beal, you could do. There's a lot of players in the league who make a lot of money.
I've already made the trade.
Yeah.
Here's the trade, guys. It's coming. You heard it here first. If the Warriors don't win the championship this year, they will trade for KD in the offseason.
Agreed.
And it will be 2 players. There will be no draft picks involved. it will be KD for Draymond Green and a sign and trade with Jonathan Kuminga.
I buy it.
And Kuminga will get 40 million and KD makes 51. Draymond makes 25 and 40, 65. Guess who makes about 15 mil?
Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen. And you will have you have Grayson Allen. Grayson Allen and KD coming to the Warriors for Draymond Green and Jonathan Kuminga. And the Suns will be like, you know what? We're not winning with KD. Kuminga's the future guy. Draymond's the enforcer we need. Let's do it. And that will be your trade this summer. And it will be KD, Steph, and Jimmy Butler, 3 dogs. And they will play together well, and they will win a championship one of those 2 seasons.
You know, you could actually make it too without Dre. If you, depending on what Kuminga makes, Dan, next year, you could make it work around just Kuminga for KD.
No, you'd have to give him 50 million though.
Oh, you froze. Are you there?
Yeah. Am I here?
Oh, I didn't. You froze right after I said you could get Kuminga for KD, possibly. Just
Kuminga would have to make 50 million though.
Well, no, I meant like a Kuminga and a Buddy Hield. I mean.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah, you could. You could. I mean,
and a pick. And a pick.
A pick. The NBA is made up of crazy things. It really is. So, but I wanted to get to. I didn't mark it. I should have started the comment.
Which one?
Deloading. Here it is. All right, guys. I really like this comment. It makes a lot of sense. Always room for trap games, but this new team is not messing around. They are locked in and could always steal some of the ones we expect them to lose. Exactly. You know, so I think they are a 47 right in that range win team, because if they do happen to lose a game or two, they shouldn't. They will win a game or two we don't expect them to win, because that's what these guys' DNA is made up of. So, and they're going to get better. You see them, they're running teams off the court after the break. And I told you that this team would gel when they got a chance to practice. Remember, Jimmy never practiced once with the team. He was traded and he came in, and they had their first practice Thursday before they played Sacramento Friday night. And when you're playing, when you're a 10, 12, 15-year vet, one practice is you learn so much. You take it in. It's just like, you know, it's like a rookie getting a year. So,
right.
So I think this team, and they will have some other practices that they will be able to work in and out, you know, nothing, but they're going to be able to they're going to grow, and you're going to see these guys. You can just watch it as you watch the game itself. And I'm always, I don't know if you guys do this, but I'm always watching what Jimmy's doing without the ball and seeing, you know, is he direct? Now he's starting to direct traffic today. Did you notice that? He didn't do that the first 5 games. He was just, but today he was saying, you know, he was starting to tell guys where to go. This is going to get better, I think. Lou, I hope you're wrong. We love you on the show. And if for some reason you're right, you know, no, I'm just kidding. Lou will always be here as long as he wants to be. You know, if he doesn't get signed away to a, you know,
bigger show
out there. I mean, I know he's getting calls. His agent came to me a couple of weeks ago asking for some more money. I had to relent, and I told him, you know, this time, but don't push me into a corner. Don't push me into a corner. You guys haven't seen Ryan on here for a while, right? Yeah. Ryan's agent called me too. And I said, you know, stick it where the sun don't shine. You're not getting any more. And so Ryan agreed. He came back, but Lou's been bringing it, and so we need Mr. Salty out here. Okay, Mr. Salty adds a lot of flavor to the show. Ain't that right, Lou?
Oh yeah.
I'm here.
My favorite time of Lou was during the 49ers season when Dan was drinking all the Kool-Aid and I had Lou to come on here and keep it real. That was my favorite time of the Lou appearances. Lou had the 49ers season down to a nail. I think he literally had their record predicted exactly. I think you said
let's
7
relax here. I admit Dan had the Kool-Aid, but Ryan, you might have had more punch than Dan for the Niners for the Warriors.
And I might be right. It's not over.
Not over yet. The hot corner tonight should be interesting.
That's right, guys. Catch us tonight, 8:00. That's 8:00 Pacific time. I'll give you a little quick preview of the hot corner tonight. If I can find it. Where did it go? I'm losing
no rush
it here.
And they'll be live tonight at 8 p.m. It'll be Glenn, Lou, Dan, and Eric.
All right, here's a little take, guys. Just a little clip of the hot corner coming tonight at 8. All right, there you go. A little clip tonight, little teaser. 8:00. We'll be discussing the San Francisco Giants first round draft failures and successes. Not too many successes, but we'll go through them all tonight. So don't forget to join us tonight at 8:00 for that. Thank you guys for being part of NorCal Sports Network. Up here in the right-hand corner, guys, you see that little Better, BETR, the official daily fantasy sponsor of NorCal Sports Network. You got to do it. It's fun. Go download the app. It's a lot like Prize Picks or Underdog or any of the other ones, but much better. It's better, guys. Give it a shot. You know why? If you download the app and put in the promo code NCSN, that's right, NCSN, the promo code, that will give you a $250 match plus a free pick. So what is the promo code, guys?
NCSN.
There it is, NCSN. Put it in. You get a match of $250. All three of us that you're looking at on the screen have already done so. Some of us have won money. Some of us haven't. But haven't lost any money. You know why? Because they gave me free money. That's right. It's free money, and you can't beat that. So, guys, we're out of here. We will see you tonight at 8:00. Thanks for being part of the show. As always, a fun exit to the music, and we'll put some of your comments up as we get out of here. So keep putting your comments in the chat. See you tonight, guys, 8:00.